Hello! Today I'm going to be talking about the Roman Missal, and we're going to get started with helping you make one of your own. So the Roman Missal is a book used in the Catholic Church that contains all the words and the actions of a Mass, everything the priest does, everything the congregation does. All of this can also be called the order of the Mass, with a capital O. Every Roman church, or every Roman Catholic church around the world, when the Mass contains the same words and the same structure in every country and every language. The words are translated between the languages, but it still comes from that same base structure that has been the same for a very long time. That base structure can be traced back through the whole age of the church, and you can find depictions of the Mass from very, very early on, only shortly after Christ's life, where the Mass was very similar to how we have the Mass now. So, what we're going to do is make our own Missal, M-I-S-S-A-L, which is a book that will guide you through all of the Mass. So, like those books that are in the pews in front of us at Mass, but this one will be homemade, handmade by each one of you, so you'll each have your own. That way you can keep track of it and you have accountability for it, and also you can make it your own. You can put your own touch to it to help you stay focused and to keep your mind on God during the Mass. So to get started, first you get a piece of construction paper. Mine is purple. See? You get a piece of construction paper or colored cardstock or whatever you can get. And then you get 6-7 pieces of blank copy paper. You stack them all up like this in a flat pile. Copy paper on one side, and the colored paper all around the other side. So once you have them all together, you'll fold them in half, make it nice and even, a nice little even book. And you'll take a stapler, and with the colored side up, so the outside of the book up, staple in the middle 2 or 3 times, and then you've made a little booklet with blank pages on the inside. And what we will fill these pages with is all of the words of the Mass, the words that the priest will say, the words that we respond, and even some of the actions of what are going on. So, what helps is when you're writing your booklet, when you're making this booklet, what will help with your writing to make it neater is that you can put a piece of lined notebook paper underneath each page as you write, so that there are lines to guide you. Just one piece of paper slid under so that the lines show through, and that way you can keep your words straight. And so, with the Mass, there are 4 parts, which will be the 4 headers, like the 4 main headers of your, see, this says the introductory rites of your booklet. And that is the introductory rites, where the priest greets and starts the Mass with a blessing. The liturgy of the Word, where readers will read from the Old Testament, the New Testament, and the priest or the deacon will read from the Gospel. That also includes the homily afterwards. The liturgy of the Eucharist, which is the most important part of the Mass. It's the source and summit of the Catholic Church. That is where the sacrifice of Christ is made real, and the bread and wine are turned to the body and blood of Christ. And after that, after all of the partaking of the Eucharist, then there's the concluding rites, which is when the priest wraps up and leaves or ends Mass with a blessing that he gives. With each part, there's kind of a place where the part of the Mass takes place. The introductory rites, the priest is standing near his chair. He's standing up and sitting down in his chair where he is, and that's where the introductory rites take place, around the priest's chair. The liturgy of the Word are over at the lectern, the pulpit, which is called the ambo in the Catholic Church. It's the ambo, A-M-B-O. That is where the liturgy of the word takes place. The liturgy of the Eucharist is when everything is brought to the altar. The prayers, the gifts, everything takes place on the altar, the big main middle table, that sacrificial table. That is where the liturgy of the Eucharist takes place. And then finally, at the end of the Mass, after all of that, everything is brought back to the chair. The concluding rites, when the priest says goodbye and blesses everyone, that takes place back at the chair. So it's kind of a circular action of Mass. Mass starts at the chair, moves to the ambo, goes to the altar, comes back to the chair to end it. So it helps that if in each of these parts, so when you're writing down the introductory rites, you can leave a little space and then draw a little picture of the chair to help you remember, like to help you focus. The introductory is when he's at the chair. If he's at the chair at the beginning, then you're probably in the introductory. Or then when you get to the liturgy of the word, you can draw a little ambo or lectern, pulpit, however you'd like to draw it. Just do your own little sketch. Or you could even, if the objects aren't the best for you, could do some part of the Mass that's happening, like maybe for the Eucharist you can put the hands holding the Eucharist, or for the liturgy of the word you could draw the book, the Gospel, the Bible, to signify that it's coming from there. And yeah, so with each section you want to write neatly. What I did with mine was that I made the actions in red while the words are in black. So that's something that you can do to help you differentiate from them. And just with each section, it's just important that you keep the focus on the Mass. So if you draw little pictures, make sure they're focused on what is going on at that time in the Mass. Remember, this is your book to help you prayerfully get through Mass, help you to be respectful and to be prayerful and thoughtful. And when you have it done, and when if it's made nicely and appropriately, then you'll be able to bring your own personal missal to Mass every Friday, and it'll be yours to keep track of and yours to hold on to and to read from, to help you really learn the Mass a lot more.